Welcome to the 42nd video in the series, Foundations of Communist Organizing. Today we'll be going over the 1951 piece by Honorato Dahmen. Centralized party, yes. Centralism over the party, no. I've subtitled this, Dialectical Unity Between Leadership and Membership. Centralization is an unquestionable principle, and our method of organization cannot harm that. Making the distinction between methods robs from the actual dynamic processes of reaching centralization. Rather, different circumstances determine how to reach it in given situations. It would be incoherent to claim that quote-unquote democratic or quote-unquote organic centralism succeeds in some form of greater or lesser numerical success in centralization to prove one method is better or worse. There's a constant dialectical relationship between the members and the party center. This dialectical relationship rests on the assumption that the party leadership develops tactical action, and the dialectical process itself leads to Leninist principles of structure and operation, and thus greater centralization. However, the leadership cannot make all decisions by itself, or rely on a set of pre-planned moves, as it is unable to know everything that is necessary for action. The membership also cannot carry out decisions made by leadership usefully if they are uninvolved in the process of developing tactical actions, as their ability to carry them out usefully rests upon their own knowledge. To remove the working class from decision-making apparatuses, the center creates a rupture between the members of the party and its directing center, which in turn instantly makes the central organ as a body operate outside the bounds and control of the organization's membership. Such a result must be resisted at all costs. There cannot arise any sort of division between the center and membership, where the membership is only supposed to carry out tasks presented to them by the center, and the center in turn is entrusted with powers of foresight and divination, even if the center's leadership is greatly respected, skilled, and has the confidence of the entire party. No matter how respected someone is for whatever actions they have taken, they should never have any ability granted which places them outside or above the party as a whole, where they can arbitrarily develop theory or engage in functions of leadership. Rather, all such must remain within the party, with the membership having the ability to, of their own initiative and consciousness outside of the quote-unquote organic or democratic centralism, take action based on their understanding of the class struggle's terrain and its history. Proactive action is key, and tailism is a greater danger. Members need the ability to take action without waiting for confirmation from the center, as their local understanding will be superior. The dialectical relationship between membership and center integrates freedom and authority, and holds the solution to the problems of the class struggle under conditions of violence and unchallenged authority. Any party, in order to become a living instrument of combat, requires iron unity and organizational structure which supports such. This requires closed ranks against counter-revolution, while also being able to adapt its dynamic organizational structure to the objective conditions of the revolutionary struggle. This dialectical relationship between leadership and members cannot be hidden by terms of democratic or organic. Rather, these must be fused at all times, dynamically, to produce the correct path shown by Lenin. And this is a very good quote from the piece. Highly recommend going and reading it yourself. Quote, Lenin at his most personal and most decisive, by which we mean the Lenin of the April Theses, had a desperate determination to, quote, go to the sailors, beyond the formal organization of the Bolshevik Party's Central Committee, whose positions were based on misunderstanding and compromise. Lenin was not operating on organic or even democratic centralism here, but acting as the chief pillar of the coming revolution, the only one who had understood and endorsed the demands of the working class, and this is because his feet were firmly on a class terrain, because he thought and worked in class terms, and for the class, and had a very lively sense of history which teaches us that revolution loves action and hates cowards who turn up a day late. End quote. Ultimately, the tactical principle of the Revolutionary Party in action is to follow is this. to know the enemy and to know yourself. That is, the characteristics of the terrain on which the party takes action and the ability of its members to be prepared for tasks on that terrain. And that is my summary of the 1951 piece by Honorato Dahmen. Centralized party, yes. Centralism over the party, no. We'll talk more about Dahmen's diversion and split with Bordiga on organic centralism later. With dialectical centralism is the term that he ends up using. I mostly think about this in terms of the mass line applied within the party, and we'll talk about that in later pieces as noted. As usual, if you'd like to go over the quotations I derived this summary from, you can go into the description below and you'll find this Google Doc that I prepared. You will also find a link to the United Marxist Pact Discord server, wherein if you'd like to talk about this, we would love to have you. Anyway, thank you for joining me for today's topical summary. Tomorrow we will be going over the 1953 piece by Bordiga, Contributions to the Organic Historical Representation of the Marxist Revolutionary Theory. I hope to see you then.